Chapter 52-26. What do you mean by this? Being ridiculed by a young lass in such a high and mighty manner. The group of illusionary clansmen who thought highly of themselves were instantly infuriated. Yi Qing Luo's slender fingers moved slightly. That sharp dagger stuck close to Zhu Wuxian's neck as it tapped a few times. This action instantly suppressed the anger of those illusionary clansmen. Seeing that they had quietened down, Yi Qing Luo's pink lips curled as she spoke calmly. Can't you all tell that this princess of yours has been bewitched? Bewitched? The crowd looked at Qing Gu in shock. They really didn't want to believe Yi Qing Luo's words. But looking at Qing Ji's malevolent and terrifying face, especially when they saw the two blood-stained profound heart jade in her bloody hands, they had no choice but to believe Yi Qing Luo's words. Their princess might have really been possessed by the devil. Otherwise, how could she possibly do such a thing? This princess is the one you should be loyal to. Qing Ji's voice was cold as she warned them. The one you should believe is this princess. If I didn't guess wrongly. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips curled upwards as her narrow eyes curled into a ridiculing cold arc. You should have reached some kind of deal with Huang Wuyo, right? From Qing Ji's strange behavior earlier, Yi Qing Luo had sensed that something was wrong with her. Then, in Qing Ji's eyes, she saw a familiar wisp of dark Yin energy. Based on her understanding of Huang Wuyo, Yi Qing Luo could totally imagine the scene of how Huang Wuyo lured the pigeon into the trap. Mentioning Huang Wuyo, the expression on Qing Ji's face changed slightly as she said, all I want to do is to avenge the illusionary tribe and bring them back to life. Don't you dare to sow discord. Yi Qing Luo scoffed, revenge? Isn't the enemy of your illusionary clan Huang Wuyo? But today, you killed two of your illusionary clan's generals for Huang Wuyo. TSK, you call this revenge for the illusionary clan? Yi Qing Luo tilted her head as her narrow eyes were filled with ridicule. If I don't say it, I'm afraid you will kill even more illusionary clans people. Her words fell. The hearts of the illusion race clansmen jumped. All of them looked at Qing Gu in astonishment, hoping that Qing Gu would retort. But Qing Gu only stared coldly at Yi Qing Luo. Her eyes were filled with murderous intent. Apparently he had tacitly agreed to Yi Qing Luo's words. The hearts of the illusory tribe members turned cold at this moment. Princess of the illusion race, do you know what you're called now? Between Yi Qing Luo's brows, the sarcastic smile became more obvious. This is called acknowledging the thief as father. Wasn't that the same as acknowledging the enemy as his father? Huang Wuyo had exterminated the illusory race. Qing Gu wanted to avenge the illusory tribe. But now, he stood on Huang Wuyo's side and killed his own clansmen. Using this kind of behavior, they were trying to please their enemies by wiping out their own clan. What a joke. But, he had to admit, Huang Wuyo's brainwashing ability was truly strong. Cut the crap. Qing Gu sneered, how I want to avenge my people has nothing to do with an outsider like you. You're trying to sow discord between me and my people. It's obvious that you're flustered now. Her cold and sinister smile made her face look even more terrifying. In that pair of sinister eyes, the profound Yin Qi was getting thicker and thicker. It almost covered her eyes, leaving behind a patch of thick black. Chapter 52-27. Yi Qing Luo gave a light scoff as her long and narrow eyes glistened. She gave a casual smile. Oh, do whatever you want then. Anyway, whether your Mirage Clan's people are dead or alive, it doesn't have much to do with me. Qing Gu raised her hand and pointed at the people from the illusory tribe. All of you, capture that bitch. The faces of the people of the illusion race paled. Looking at the ferocious and obviously crazy Her Highness, they stammered, but young master. Young master is still in her hands. If they make a move. Wasn't she going to make an example out of young master? Why are you panicking? Although the clear pigeon had accepted Huang Wuyo's deal, it did not mean that it had lost its consciousness. She looked at Yi Qing Luo with cold ridicule as her eyes were filled with ridicule. This big sister Feng Qing Luo, what Feng Qing Luo is most concerned about is the so-called comradeship. Young master treats her so well and has saved her so many times. How could she really do anything to young master? Left and right, I'm just scaring you. Qing Ji's tone was firm. The people of the illusion race looked at each other, not sure if they should believe him or not. Qing Ji's red lips curled into a sinister smile. If you don't believe me, you can try. This princess is sure that big sister Feng's conscience will never allow her to kill the young master who loves her so deeply. Even if Qing Gu was so sure. No one from the illusion race moved. All of them took a look at Qing Gu and then looked at Zhu Wu Xian, who was being restrained in Yi Qing Luo's hands. There was an obvious bloodstain on Zhu Wuxin's neck. Fresh blood also stained the sharp silver dagger that shone with a piercingly cold light. No matter how he looked at it, it didn't seem like he was unwilling to kill. Their young lord was the only one in this world with the purest bloodline of the illusory race, and he was even purer than the illusory princess. He was the young master who had inherited the inheritance of the illusion tribe's ancestor. How could they use the young master's life as a wager? The people of the illusion race were silent and hesitant for a long time. Qing Gu lost her patience. She raised her hand. Her eyes, which were filled with dark energy, coldly looked at the people of the illusion clan. The majestic and thick profound chi was suddenly blasted away. The members of the illusion race were sent flying, each of them slamming into a stone wall and then falling heavily onto the ground. Qing Gu leaped up and pounced towards the nearest illusory tribe member. Her bloodied hand directly pierced into his chest. Since you won't listen to me, then what's the use of you? The woman's ruthless words were completely emotionless. Your Highness, you can't do that. Our illusory tribe has no one left. Don't be fooled by revered Carefree. He wants to borrow your hand to destroy the entire illusory race. The people of the illusion race shouted at the top of their lungs to stop Qing Gu. But he still couldn't stop this woman's ruthless and merciless actions. Bang! Qing Ji's hand slammed into the ground with a loud thud. Oh! The woman let out a muffled groan. Because she didn't tighten her grip, her jade-like fingers, which were stained with blood, slammed into the ground, causing severe pain. Qing Gu felt as if her fingers were broken. Her face contorted in pain. The people of the illusory tribe heaved a sigh of relief. Just now, just when Qing Ji's hand stabbed into the chest of the illusory race member and dug out his profound heart jade, just like Elder Huan III. Suddenly, that person's body seemed to be dragged by something. Chapter 52-28. His entire body slid backwards. And even on the ground, dragging a faint trace. Coincidentally, it avoided Qing Ji's attack. TSK, so cruel. The young lady's clear and melodious laughter, with a hint of ridicule in her voice, rang faintly. Qing Gu shot a vicious glare over. She saw the young lady clutching Zhu Wu Xian's neck with one hand, while the other hand was gently waving the glower flame fan. It was clearly seen. On the young lady's glower flame fan, there were many curved silver threads, as though they were broken, twining around that leg. It's you? Qing Gu frowned. Earlier she almost dug out that raw profound jade heart. It was this slut who used the silver threads to pull that person apart. Yi Qing Luo felt her heart aching as she looked at the curved and twisted silver wires which had exploded into balls of hair. She kept the silver threads back into the glower flame fan and drew out her dagger again, placing it towards Zhu Wu Xian's neck. After she finished all these, she then casually raised her eyes, as she looked at Qing Gu with ridicule. Illusion clan's princess personally harming her own clansmen, this show is really interesting. Even her smile was so casual. Qing Ji's mood turned gloomy. Her fingers clenched tightly, as anger surfaced in her eyes. This princess is cleaning up the clan, what has it got to do with you? Mind your own business. Yi Qing Luo smiled like a flower, seeing your unhappy look. I feel very happy, so, you want to kill them, but I won't let you. Her words had just ended. At a close distance, she heard an unconcealable chuckle, as it entered her ears. It was Zhu Wu Xian who was clamped in her hands. Perhaps it was because of the effects of the medicine, his deep and cold eyes were a little misty. His thin lips were raised, as he smiled. Yi Qing Luo seemed as though her thoughts were seen through, as her slender brows creased, as she stared at him. Shut up. Be a good hostage. This wasn't because she was soft-hearted. After all, these people from the Illusion clan were the last remaining clansmen of the Illusion clan. If they all died under Qing Ji's hands, Zhu Wu Xian would really be left alone. Although she was very angry with Zhu Wu Xian's actions, although she had Zhu Wu Xian as a hostage in her hands. In any case, he had saved her life before. He could be considered as her friend. Although he couldn't respond to Zhu Wuxin's feelings, but that didn't mean she was really cold and heartless. Obviously, Zhu Wuxin also saw through her intentions. Yi Qing Luo couldn't be bothered with Zhu Wu Xian as she raised her eyes to take a look at Qing Gu and subsequently swept her gaze towards those people from the Illusory clan. What are you all still standing there for? Are you tired of living? It was probably because Yi Qing Luo had made a move earlier to save a Mirage clansman from Princess Darao. After the Illusory clan heard Yi Qing Luo's words, almost reflexively, he crawled up from the ground and ran towards Yi Qing Luo's direction. They had completely forgotten that the protector they were seeking now was the person who controlled their young master's life. This scene made Qing Gu even angrier. That pair of eyes that were burning with anger were filled with thick black yin qi. Good. Good. Since all of you want to betray the Illusion tribe, I will fulfill your wish. Qing Gu roared angrily. She suddenly clenched the two profound heart jades in her palms. Following that, she threw it towards the stone cave which was obstructed by the restrictive array. The moment the profound heart jades were thrown towards that direction, the outer boundary of the stone cave seemed to have a layer of water ripples. Immediately following that, the profound heart jades entered the stone cave. Chapter 52-29. She actually threw the profound heart jade. To revered Worryless. Princess, what are you trying to do? Revered Worryless is currently in a period of heavy injuries. We can take this opportunity to complete our plan. By giving him the profound heart jade, wouldn't it speed up the recovery of his energy? Princess, the minute Revered Worryless regains his energy, all of us will die. The people from the Illusion clan had completely understood what was going on. Their princess had probably been bewitched by Revered Worryless. Otherwise, why would she help Revered Worryless? A bunch of traitors. What rights do you have to teach me? After Qing Gu threw the profound heart jade into the stone cave, her eyes which were filled with a dense dark aura looked towards the group of Illusion clan who were hiding behind Yi Qing Luo. The murderous intent in her eyes was extremely obvious. She wanted to kill all of them. The people from the Illusion clan were in a state of shock as their breathing became stagnant. They stared at Qing Gu anxiously as they were in a dilemma. Just as they were feeling unsettled and on guard, they would explode at any moment. Suddenly, a young lady's mocking laughter rang melodiously in the tunnel. That laughter was extremely pleasing to the ear. You're all so silly, at this stage, what are you still hesitating for? The young lady ridiculed. You're worried that she's the Illusion clan's princess so you don't dare to make a move. But she doesn't have any misgivings. You're the last batch of people from the Illusion clan. The young lady's pink lips curled up as her gaze swept past the people from the Illusion clan. Her eyes were filled with disdain and ridicule. She's thinking of using your profound heart jade to increase Huang Wuyo's strength. Yi Qing Luo held onto the glower flame fan as the sharp dagger tapped on Zhu Wu Xian's neck. The silver light was biting cold as it flickered. That made the people from the Illusion clan's hearts palpitate, afraid that if she wasn't careful, the dagger would slash through their young master's neck. Why don't I give you a suggestion? The young lady was very satisfied with her actions, attracting everyone's attention. She smiled at them. You guys join hands and kill your illusion clan's princess other than killing Chingu. There was no other way. Unless they wanted to die. After knowing that Chingu had become a demon and was standing on Huang Guio's side, she became his pawn. He even willingly gave Qing Pigeon his head and his profound heart jade. Then she had nothing to say. In any case, she had already saved those who she could. What should be done had already been done. Did he want to live or die? That would depend on their own choices. She wasn't exactly leaving him in the lurch. This could be considered as repaying a favor to Zhu Wuxin. The people of the Illusion clan were silent. Listening to the girl's understatement, asking them to kill their princess. How could they bear to do it? The princess was the hope of the Illusion race. How could they kill the princess? Oh, it's fine if you don't want to. Yi Qing Luo had already seen the answer from everyone's faces as she spread out her hands indifferently and shrugged her shoulders. Then why don't all of you crush your own profound jade heart and self-explode now? When she said this, she laughed incomparably viciously. At least this way, your profound heart jades won't become Huang Guio's energy. She had finally poisoned Huang Guio till he was weak. She wouldn't allow that bunch of people from the Illusion clan to destroy this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Chapter 52:30. Once Huang Guio regained his strength, the chances of sealing it again were minuscule. If the Illusory clan insisted on helping the tyrant, she could only destroy the chance for them to help the tyrant. Yi Qing Luo's narrow eyes squinted dangerously as her fingers which were holding the glower flame fan tightened slightly. When the Illusory clan heard Yi Qing Luo's words, their expressions turned extremely gloomy. This young lady's words were simply too vile. It was totally stabbing a knife into their hearts. Huan Luo's dainty face congealed into a ball as she stared fiercely at Yi Qing Luo. You woman, you're really vicious. I'm vicious? Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but laughed. I won't kill my own clansmen. Yi Qing Luo's words were filled with ridicule. Just based on Qing Ji's earlier actions. Huan Luo had no way to deny or rebut. Her face was flushed red with anger. But most of it was shame and indignation. Just as the Illusory clan's hearts were surging with waves of shock. Suddenly, a chilly yet slightly weak voice sounded extremely clear in the quiet tunnel. Listen to her. Those 3 words were like thunder, exploding in the Illusory clan's minds. The Illusory clan's people were stunned for a moment. A slightly older elder who looked like a veteran tried to probe. Young Patriarch? That was young Patriarch's voice. The man who was being held hostage by the young lady, that pair of deep dark cold eyes reflected a biting cold glint. If it wasn't for that pair of eyes, which were obviously misty and hazy, everyone was suspecting if their young patriarch wasn't affected by the medicinal effect at all. That kind of cold, frosty gaze. It made everyone subconsciously tensed up their emotions. Illusory clan never keeps any traitors. Zhu Wuxian's cold thin lips moved slightly as he spoke coldly. Since Princess has already sided with the enemy, then you're no longer a member of the Illusory clan. Qing Ji's expression was sinister as she stared at Zhu Wuxian. Young Patriarch, are you banishing me because of that woman? The moment you took action against our clansmen, you lost your princess identity. Zhu Wuxian replied indifferently. Qinggu did not get angry. Instead, she laughed. Her eyes were filled with mockery. Young master, you sure sound nice. It's all because of that woman. What do you mean, this princess defected to the enemy? What about you? As the young master of the Illusion clan, you fell in love with the daughter of the enemy. Shouldn't a young master like you be called a traitor of the Illusion clan? Her words directly pointed out that Zhu Wuxin had forgotten his friends in the face of love. For an unrelated girl, he had expelled her, the princess of the Illusion race. To be able to expel her today. Tomorrow, for the sake of that girl, he would expel the others. In the end, the entire illusory race would be destroyed in the hands of that girl. She was also reminding the illusory race that girl was Huang Wuyo's biological daughter. The coldness on Zhu Wuxin's face deepened. He clenched his fists tightly, and a layer of frost gathered in his eyes. It was as if a thick fog was spreading in his eyes. Kill. He was too lazy to argue with Qinggu, so he spat out the cold words indifferently. That word fell. The hesitant illusory tribe members glanced at Qinggu. After a moment of silence, they suddenly swarmed toward Qinggu. To them, the princess of the illusion race was of noble status. She was also the hope of the illusion race. But, compared to the young master, they were more inclined towards the young master. For so many years, it was the young master who had devoted himself to the illusion race. He was bent on revenge. Chapter 52-31. Although they were worried about what Qinggu said earlier, they would be worried in their hearts. But they believed that their young matriarch would absolutely not treat the illusion clan as a joke. At least, young matriarch had never hurt the illusion clan. As for Qinggu, killed 2 illusion clan members consecutively. Moreover, that newly appointed divine phoenix, Feng Qing Luo, although she seemed to despise them, but she had still saved them. Saved them from Qing Ji's hands. They weren't blind, they had eyes. They weren't fools, they could feel it. Naturally they could see who was right and who was wrong. After Zhu Wu Xian gave this command, they hesitated for a moment because of their loyalty and made the final decision. Qinggu sneered coldly. Her eyes were filled with malice and anger. Facing the illusion clan's people who were pouncing on her, she totally had no emotions. Swiftly, she fought with them. Suddenly, a group of illusion clan members who followed her into Huang Wuyu's sealed grounds. Just like that, they started their internal fighting mode. Yiqing Luo restrained Zhu Wu Xian and was left to one side. Yiqing Luo might as well throw Zhu Wu Xian to one side, to a safe position. The man who was leaning against the stone wall raised his slightly hazy cold eyes as he stared at her. Where are you going? Just stay here and watch with your own eyes how your clansmen kill each other. Yiqing Luo's voice was calm and the words she said didn't have much emotions. But when it fell into Zhu Wu Xian's ears, it was extremely cruel. Don't think that I saved the illusion clan because of you. You don't need to think that I care about you. You've made use of my trust several times and poisoned me. I will not forgive you. Now, you should enjoy the feeling of being poisoned and being powerless. Yiqing Luo finished her words and didn't bother about Zhu Wu Xian. She walked straight towards the front, towards the stone cave which was sealed by the array. On the other side, the illusion clan and Qinggu were locked in a fight, so no one noticed Yiqing Luo's actions. Yiqing Luo stood outside the stone cave as her gaze penetrated the stone cave and into the stone cave. The cave in front of them was an empty tomb chamber. There was nothing else except for the steep stone walls. It was as if the other end of the cave was nothing more than an empty tomb chamber. Yiqing Luo's slender fingers lightly pressed on the azure dew bracelet. The flowing red aura lingered around the girl's slender white fingertips. Yiqing Luo's eyelashes fluttered slightly. He raised his eyes to look at the cave again. The cave was completely different from what he had seen earlier. The originally empty tomb chamber was now covered by a hazy black fog. The hazy fog was thick and black, covering the entire cave. Black ripples could be vaguely seen on the surface of the water. That was forbidden array. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes narrowed slightly as her gaze congealed a little. If it was anyone else who couldn't see the thick black mist and recklessly approached it, they would probably be swallowed by the formation. She had to think of a way to deal with this forbidden array. She absolutely could not let Huang Wuyo regain his strength. Take his life while he was down, that was her aim. Yiqing Luo's eyes reflected a dangerous cold glint. From the corner of her eyes, she suddenly saw a figure. She congealed for a moment and suddenly her figure moved as she leapt towards that person. She stretched out her hand and pulled that person over. The lady who was locked in a fight with the illusion clan and Qinggu was pulled over for no apparent reason. Chapter 52-32. The woman wanted to retaliate. But as soon as his palm moved, it was grabbed by a small, fair, and strong hand. The girl's clear and melodious voice rang in his ears. "Huang Luo, come over and have a chat." The young lady was suddenly pulled and crashed into Yiqing Luo's arm. As soon as he raised his head, he saw a beautiful face that could topple cities. Huang Luo's eyes were filled with such breathtaking beauty. The collision stunned Huang Luo for a moment. Immediately, her face turned red. No matter how much he hated this girl in his heart, Huang Luo couldn't help but admit that this young girl's appearance was the most stunning one she had ever seen. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at the stone cave as she got straight to the point. "Since you illusory clan's people have used everything today as a bet for the future of the illusory clan, that means that you've already thought of a way to deal with Huang Wuyo, right?" Her long and narrow eyes were slightly raised, forming a rippling arc. "It's useless for you to ask me. I won't tell you." Huang Luo's voice was tense. "Tell me the method to break the formation, and I'll return your young master to you." Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she indicated for her to look towards Zhu Wu Xian's direction. "If you understand me well enough, then you should know that the poison in my body is extremely strong. Even Huang Wuyo's body is being corroded by my poison, let alone your young master." Yiqing Luo gave an evil smile. "Don't tell me you can bear to see your young master suffer unbearably?" Huang Luo's face suddenly darkened and turned ashen. Her eyes were filled with worry as she stared at Zhu Wuxin. Zhu Wuxin was clearly sitting there, but his face was slightly pale, and the cold aura around him had faded slightly. But in Huang Luo's eyes, she felt that Zhu Wuxin was in great pain at this moment. Otherwise, with her high and mighty personality, how could she possibly sit on the ground so absent-mindedly? He looked at Huang Luo's expression. Yiqing Luo knew that she had guessed correctly. Huang Luo must have some special feelings for Zhu Wuxin. The smile on her lips deepened, and her slender fingers tightened their grip on Huang Luo's hand. She closed the distance between them and said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "Actually, if you want to avenge the illusion tribe, why do you have to make things so complicated? Unlocking Huang Wuyo's seal and using your illusory tribe's illusory techniques to make Huang Wuyo work for you. Is this revenge? No. How can you be sure that Huang Wuyo will really be affected by your illusion clan's illusion technique? How can you be sure that your plan will succeed?" The young girl asked the question in a smiling tone, as if she was very careless. But in Huang Luo's ears, every word made her heart thump violently. Yiqing Luo's words were full of smiles, even her brows were indifferent and languid. "Look at your illusory clan's princess. Huang Wuyo has yet to unseal his seal and you're able to turn her into this. Neither human nor devil look. Are you sure that you've used the illusory clan's illusory arts to confuse Huang Wuyo, or that you've been completely exterminated by Huang Wuyo?" When the last three words came out of her mouth, Huang Luo's eyelids twitched violently. She was flustered. She had no way to rebuke Yiqing Luo's words. Everything that Yiqing Luo said was indeed what they were worried about. Chapter 52-33. If the illusion clan's illusion was ineffective on Huang Wuyo, and if they undid Huang Wuyo's seal, what would the outcome be? Huang Luo's face turned pale and the expression on her face changed from vigilance and disgust towards Yiqing Luo to worry and fear. Yiqing Luo bent over slightly to close the distance between them. Her presence was getting closer. Huang Luo was so shocked that her body trembled. Yiqing Luo's hand pressed on Huang Luo's shoulder as her voice was intentionally suppressed to bewitch. "My suggestion is to kill Huang Wuyo and settle this once and for all." Huang Luo's breathing started to turn heavy and cold. Her eyes stared at Yiqing Luo without blinking. There was a ripple of emotions in her eyes. Silence for a while. So silent that the two of them had completely ignored the surrounding profound qi clashing against each other. Huang Luo then spoke in a hoarse voice. "On what basis should I believe you?" "Based on me, I want Huang Wuyo dead." Yi Qing Luo's words were icy cold as the corners of her lips curled up slightly. And you want to take revenge for your country's hatred, then? You also want him dead. Huan Luo pursed her lips tightly as she kept silent. She had to admit that she was convinced by Yi Qing Luo. After all, the current situation had indeed developed to a stage that they could not control. Even their illusion clan's princess was bewitched by Huang Wuyo and killed her own clansmen. If they waited till Huang Wuyo's seal was undone, would they be controlling Huang Wuyo or becoming his chess pieces? Huan Luo simply didn't dare to think of such an outcome. I can let the illusion clan's clansmen help you to break the restriction array. Huan Luo remained silent for a long time before giving her answer. She fixed her gaze on Yi Qing Luo as she said word by word, but you must first answer a question of mine. Yi Qing Luo shrugged her shoulders as she replied calmly, ask. Huan Luo's pupils contracted slightly as her gaze became increasingly solemn. In your heart, does our young matriarch have any place? Hearing Huan Luo's question, Yi Qing Luo was still in a daze. She thought that Huan Luo was going to ask about how to deal with Huang Wuyo or the relationship between her and Huang Wuyo. She had not expected Huan Luo to ask this question. In her heart, did Zhu Wu Xian have any place? This question put Yi Qing Luo in a difficult position. She hesitated for a long time before answering carefully, this is our deal. I don't want to lie to you. If you're asking about the relationship between a man and a woman, my answer is, no. But, if it's something else, like brotherhood, perhaps, there is. She used the word, maybe, in a tone that even she wasn't sure about. However, he continued to explain with incomparable seriousness, from the start, Zhu Wu Xian and I have always been on two parallel lines. Even if we meet again, it's only because there's something to be gained. I don't deny that he might like me, but this kind of liking is not pure. It is far from the requirements of love that I want. He helped me a lot, but he also used me a lot. I can't say for sure what kind of special relationship we have. I can only say, no matter how much time has passed, I will always remember that a man like him appeared in my life. The girl's words were extremely sincere. Huan Luo had not interrupted Yi Qing Luo's words at all. As she listened, her lips were tightly pursed and the emotions on her face were slightly moved. Until both of them remained silent for a while. Huan Luo then spoke in a hoarse voice, I understand. Chapter 52-34. What she wanted was to know what Zhu Wu Xian was in Yi Qing Luo's heart. And Yi Qing Luo didn't lie to her. Huan Luo slowly shifted her gaze towards Zhu Wu Xian. At this moment, Zhu Wu Xian was staring at their direction without blinking with that pair of misty watery eyes. Apparently, he was very interested in the question that Huan Luo had raised earlier. He had heard every single one of Yi Qing Luo's replies. His expression was very indifferent and there wasn't much fluctuation on it. However, in his heart, there was a raging storm surging. He snorted softly. His thin lips curled upwards into a ridiculing arc. He was mocking himself. Mocking his own wishful thinking, was mocking his own fate. Yi Qing Luo was right. Between the both of them, based on their status, they were destined to become enemies. His feelings towards Yi Qing Luo. Perhaps it was the obsession from the moment they first met when they were young, wanting to possess the only warmth. Until today's deep love. But, ultimately, as what Yi Qing Luo said, it wasn't pure. He couldn't give Yi Qing Luo pure feelings. Because he had his own responsibility, his own mission. Perhaps. To let her firmly remember that in her life, there was once a her. In fact, he should be satisfied. But in his heart, there was a voice that kept telling him, to get her, to possess her, to make her fall in love with him wholeheartedly, to stay by his side forever. This was like a spell, slowly drawing out the deepest darkness in his heart. He shut his eyes hard, resisting the dizziness in his head as he slowly opened his mouth, Huan Luo. He spat out 2 words from his thin lips. His tone was very cold, but because of the hazy effect of the poison, it seemed slightly softer and hoarser than usual. Help her break the array. For simple words, made Zhu Wu Xian helplessly shut his eyes. He panted slightly. Yi Qing Luo really didn't hold back when she poisoned him. The poison, although it wouldn't affect him much, but at this moment, it really made him unable to move. The silent Huan Luo, upon hearing young patriarch's voice, suddenly raised her head and looked at Zhu Wu Xian. Hearing Zhu Wu Xian's words again, her expression changed subtly. She stared at Zhu Wuxin for a long time before she pursed her lips and said, "Yes." Following that, his gaze turned towards Yi Qing Luo. "To break this ancient forbidden array, it's impossible to rely on me alone. What do you need me to do?" Yi Qing Luo understood and asked cooperatively. Huan Luo glanced at the people of the illusion race, who were fighting with Qing Ying. Although Clear Pigeon was alone. However, the strength and state of mind of both sides were different. One side was ruthless, wishing that they could directly kill him and seize his profound heart jade. On the other hand, considering that this was their princess, they couldn't kill her no matter what. Therefore, after a period of fighting, the people of the illusion tribe were obviously at a disadvantage. There were also a few who were ambushed by the pigeons, and their bodies were covered with wounds. "Keep the princess occupied. I'll go with the other illusory race members to break the restriction formation," Huan Luo requested. The feather fan in Yi Qing Luo's hand opened up and a burst of dull resounding sound was heard. Her pink lips curled up. "Of course, that's no problem." Following that, she leapt up and faced Clear Pigeon. Clear Pigeon and the people of the illusory race were locked in a battle, and the black and dense profound yin qi in her eyes had almost covered her entire eye sockets. That originally exquisite face was now distorted, and looked extremely terrifying. Just as one of the people of the illusory race was about to hurt her vital parts, and just as she stopped in time. Chapter 52-35. Qing Ge didn't feel at ease just because of the illusion clan's mercy. On the contrary. Just as that person retracted his hand and had yet to put up his guard, her 5 fingers turned into a claw as she struck towards the door of mercy. Just at the critical moment, a fair hand clasped onto Qing Ji's hand. Immediately after, Qing Ji's body was sent flying. She smashed into the stone wall and then rolled on the ground. Qing Ge groaned a few times as she crawled up from the ground. The blood on the corner of her lips had stained her clothes, but there wasn't much change on her expression. She was still that twisted and terrifying. "Leave your princess to me." The young girl's voice was soft and gentle, with a hint of carelessness and carefreeness, as if she was at ease and contented. This made the surrounding people from the illusion clan to look over. The young lady was dressed in a peach-red long dress and her skirt fluttered along with the strong wind. She held the glower flame fan in one hand as she stood in front of Qing Ge, looking down at her from above. It was just a back view. It made everyone feel a formless pressure forming in the air. That innate and intimidating aura made it impossible for anyone to avoid it. Young matriarch has orders for us to assist Feng Qing Luo, to help her kill revered warriorless, to take revenge for the illusion clan. Huan Luo didn't give them a chance to continue being shocked as she spoke to them directly. Everyone's expression changed slightly. "This is different from our plan. Princess's great change has already exceeded our plan." Huan Luo's face sunk as she pursed her lips and spoke in a calm tone. "This is young matriarch's order and this is our only chance to take revenge for the extermination of the illusion clan." Everyone turned silent. Huan Luo didn't give them a chance to remain silent. Instead, she headed directly towards the stone cave which was blocked by the array. She stood in front of the stone cave as she raised her finger and drew out a drop of blood as she pressed it between her brows tightly as she mumbled something. This array. Only by using their illusion clan's ancient illusory arts could they possibly break the array. Huan Luo took action. The others looked at each other in dismay for some time. In the end, they still joined in Huan Luo's action. On the other side, Yi Qing Luo directly blocked Qing Ge, who had turned into black completely. He didn't give her any chance to ruin the illusory race's plan. The more Yi Qing Luo tried to stop him, the fiercer she got. The more Qing Gu raged, the more anxious she became, the more she wanted to break through Yi Qing Luo's obstruction, to prove her own ability. Qing Ji's emotions crumbled. That meant that Yi Qing Luo had the upper hand. They fought for about half an hour. A dazzling golden light fiercely shot through the entire tunnel, surrounding the outside of the cave. Then, it slowly shrank. In the end, it shrunk near the illusory race members who were sitting cross-legged and covered them. The people of the illusion race sat in a formation, casting ancient illusory techniques to fight against the forbidden formation. As the golden light became brighter and brighter, it was as if it was going to be blinded in the next instant. With a bang, the entire tunnel suddenly let out a loud explosion. The originally indestructible tunnel began to shake violently at this moment. Above his head, pieces of gravel were falling continuously. When Yi Qing Luo stepped on Qing Gu onto the stone wall, she felt the intense fluctuation. She frowned and looked in the direction of the golden light. Why did this tunnel feel like it was about to collapse? Break! The people of the illusion race suddenly shouted in unison. Following that, an even more shocking and deafening explosion sound, accompanied by the "kacha" sound of the stone wall collapsing, was transmitted into Yi Qing Luo's ears. Chapter 52-36. The golden light around the illusory race's people instantly surged toward the cave. The brilliant golden light intertwined with the dense black profound yin qi. It was as though two huge dragons, one gold and one black, were tearing each other apart. Following the collision of the two forces, the tunnel started to shake even more violently, as though it was going to collapse at any moment. Yi Qing Luo was stepping on Qing Ji's chest and was shaken by the vibrating force as she looked towards that direction. Which was the moment she was in a daze. Qing Gu suddenly flipped herself up and rolled on the ground under Yi Qing Luo's feet, instantly avoiding Yi Qing Luo's clamp. Immediately after, his figure moved quickly and he dashed towards the direction of the stone cave. Yi Qing Luo's reaction was swift as she looked up and saw Qing Ji's sinister face, covered with a chilling murderous intent. Qing Gu was thinking. To kill the people from the illusion clan and stop them from condensing that force? This Qing Gu had really gone into a frenzy? To kill all of her own clan members. What was the point of her existence as the princess of the illusion clan? Who would still respect her as a princess? Just her alone, the so-called illusion clan member. How could she revive the illusion clan? Looking at Qing Ji's eyes which were filled with profound yin qi, Yi Qing Luo was almost certain. This Qing Gu had completely become Huang Wuyo's chess piece. What a joke. Right from the start, Qing Ji's plan was to make use of the illusion clan's illusory arts to control and threaten Huang Wuyo, making him be used by the illusion clan. But now, everything was reversed. The person who was being used and controlled became her. And the person who played the chess became Huang Wuyo. This was the consequence of being conceited. This was the consequence of being greedy. In the end, to the extent that she herself felt that she was a stranger. Yi Qing Luo's long and narrow eyes squinted slightly as the expression on her face congealed. The people from the illusion clan had already formed a united front with her. She naturally could not allow Qing Gu to disturb them from breaking the array. Although Yi Qing Luo's thoughts were running wild, but in actual fact, only a few breaths had passed. Qing Ji's reaction was swift. Yi Qing Luo's speed wasn't slow either. Just as Qing Gu raised her hand in an attempt to release the palm wind which was revolving with profound qi, she waved the gourd flame fan in her hand. The gorging flame fan turned into a flaming top and spun rapidly towards Qing Ji's palm wind. Wherever the gourd flame fan went, a powerful profound energy fluctuation swept out, like ripples in the air. Qing Ji's attack was blocked. She paused and glared at the devouring flame fan viciously. Whereas the glower flame fan which had cut off Qing Ji's attack speedily revolved back into Yi Qing Luo's palm. Qing Ji's eyes were filled with hatred and ruthlessness. She didn't try to hide her actions. Naturally, it attracted the attention of the illusory tribe members who were breaking the formation. He also didn't miss the fact that Qinggu was trying to kill them. At this moment, everyone from the illusory race felt their hearts turn cold. Their illusion race's princess, Qinggu, was no longer their princess. How ironic was that? They respected the princess as their lord. They wanted to kill her with all their hearts. But the Fengqinga whom they obeyed Qingji's orders to kill had saved their lives time and time again. Looking at that peach blossom black hair, that ravishing young lady with a calm expression, blocking in front of them, blocking all of Qingji's attacks. The illusory race suddenly understood something. Their young matriarch, why would she be obsessed with Fengqinga and love him so deeply without any regrets? Chapter 52-37. Fengqing Luo. Did you think that by breaking the restrictive array, you would be able to seal him? Qinggu saw that her plan had once again failed because of Yiqing Luo, and her expression turned even more sinister. Yiqing Luo's lips curled upwards as she ridiculed. If you can't, then why are you in such a hurry to stop your clansmen? She intentionally emphasized on the words, your clansmen. Qinggu had no reaction at all. That pair of eyes, which was filled with dense profound yin qi, was filled with insanity. Fengqingu. She shouted out Yiqing Luo's name. As though she had gone mad, she pounced towards Yiqing Luo. That stance seemed as though she was going to perish together with Yiqing Luo. At the same time, the dazzling golden light intertwined with the mysterious yin qi, and in that instant, a series of explosive sounds rang out. The two dragons, one black and one gold, coiled around each other with bared fangs and brandished claws. Finally, the brilliant golden light abruptly tightened its grip. That profound yin qi was instantly annihilated in the golden light and disappeared. The people from the Illusion clan panted heavily as they laid paralyzed on the ground, their foreheads filled with cold sweat. The restrictive array was broken. Yiqing Luo looked towards the direction of the stone cave as her pink lips curled up indifferently. Her voice was filled with ridicule. I don't have time to waste here with you, so. Her fingertips moved. The profound light shot out from the devouring flame fan as it pierced into Qingji's body. That profound light was like a sharp steel needle as it pinned Qinggu onto the stone wall. Qinggu moaned in pain as she struggled slightly, and the thing which pierced through her body emitted a sharp pain. She lowered her head and saw clearly what was pinned on her chest. It was a silver thread which was flickering with a silver ray. It was the silver thread in Fengqingji's fan. It was just a silver thread, and it pinned her to the wall. Qinggu was infuriated as she clenched her fists tightly. But there was no way for her to escape from the silver thread. Yiqing Luo didn't bother about Qinggu anymore. She had no intention to kill Qinggu. This, actually couldn't be considered, as it was for Zhu Wuxian's sake. After all, Qinggu was the princess of the illusory tribe. The people of the Illusion clan should be dealt with by their own people. Yiqing Luo headed directly towards the direction of the collapsed stone cave as she sped off. The people of the Illusion clan only had time to see a figure flash past them. Young lord. Huan Luo immediately ran to Zhu Wuxian's side and looked at him worriedly. Are you okay? Zhu Wuxian opened his eyes tiredly. The face he saw up close was not the face he was thinking of. The expression on his face and the light in his eyes instantly turned cold. He opened his thin lips lightly. What about her? She naturally referred to Fengqing Luo. Huan Luo pursed her red lips and looked at the collapsed cave. Big Sister Feng has already gone in. Zhu Wuxian placed his hand on Huan Luo's shoulder. The sudden contact made Huan Luo's body stiffen. She was nervous and a little shy. Young master, help this young lord over. Zhu Wuxian forced himself to stand up. Huan Luo held onto Zhu Wuxian's arm. Young lord, based on your current condition, even if you follow her in, you won't be able to help her. When Huan Luo said this, her tone sounded a little grumbling. Fengqing Luo clearly knew that this place was extremely vicious and filled with dangers, but she still poisoned young master and left him here. If young lord met with danger, she didn't even have the ability to protect herself. Chapter 52-38. Even though Yi Qing Luo had saved the illusory clansman, Huan Luo's impression towards Yi Qing Luo had not changed at all. Zhu Wuxin pursed his thin lips. His cold eyes, which were slightly misty due to the poison, were fixed in the direction of the collapsed cave without blinking. The surging emotions in his eyes were enough to make Huan Luo tremble in fear. She knew that the young lord was angry. It wasn't because he was angry that Feng Qing Luo poisoned him, but anger, at this moment. He actually had no way to protect Feng Qing Luo. What was so good about that girl? Why was the young master so infatuated with her? Young lord, even if you don't want to hear it, I must hear it. Huan Luo endured the spreading jealousy in her heart as she tried her best to dispel Zhu Wuxian's thoughts of heading to the stone cave to help Feng Qing Luo. With your current physical condition, even if you rush over, you'll be a burden to Big Sister Feng, won't you? Revered Carefree already knows that Big Sister Feng cares about you. What if you? Huan Luo purposely lessened the strength she was using to support Zhu Wuxian. Zhu Wuxian's body suddenly staggered, and he almost lost his balance. Huan Luo hurriedly supported him. The cool and refreshing fragrance of the plum blossom seeped into her nose. This caused Huan Luo's heart to beat faster. Pretending that nothing had happened, she coughed lightly and continued, "What if Revered Carefree uses you to threaten Big Sister Feng? Wouldn't Big Sister Feng have some misgivings?" The tense body of the man who was half supported by her strength loosened bit by bit. He seemed to agree with her words. Huan Luo heaved a sigh of relief, but she also felt a little sad. She heaved a sigh of relief because she had stopped Zhu Wuxin from taking the risk. What was sad was that Zhu Wuxin had ultimately listened to his advice only because of that one sentence, dragging Feng Qing Luo down. He compromised. It was only because he was worried that he would implicate Feng Qing Luo. However, Huan Luo did not say anything else. As long as Zhu Wuxin did not take risks and stayed here safely, that was enough. Furthermore, deep in her heart, she was still hoping Feng Qing Luo could die at the other side of the stone cave. In this way, her young patriarch would no longer be infatuated with Feng Qing Luo. Zhu Wuxin slowly leaned back against the stone wall, closing his eyes to rest. But the minute he thought of Yi Qing Luo alone, facing Huang Wuyo, putting herself in danger, in his mind, Yi Qing Luo's face kept appearing. He couldn't calm down at all. Suddenly, he keenly sensed an extremely faint trace of abnormality. That strange feeling was fleeting. It was so fast that he almost thought he was hallucinating because he was poisoned. That pair of clear, cold eyes slightly opened. Out of the corner of his eye, he happened to catch a glimpse of a black shadow moving towards the other end of the cave. In the blink of an eye, he had already disappeared from Zhu Wuxin's sight. It was him? What was he doing here? Zhu Wuxian's expression froze, a cold dignity rising in his eyes. He said coldly, "Huan Luo, bring me to her immediately." Young lord. She had just persuaded Zhu Wuxin. How long had it been? Why did he change his mind? Don't talk nonsense. Immediately. Zhu Wuxin emphasized. Even though he was poisoned, causing his voice to be a little weak, his aura was still there. Huan Luo was shocked by Zhu Wuxin's aura. In the end, she stretched out her hand and supported Zhu Wuxin up as they headed towards the collapsed stone cave. "Young lord, where are you going?" "Young lord, you can't go over. That's where Revered Wu Yu is sealed." Chapter 52-39. Although Revered Wu Yu is currently in a sealed state, but just 1% of his soul trace is enough to deal us a heavy blow. Young matriarch, you must not go over. Princess is already ruined, you. You are our illusion clan's last hope, you must not get into any trouble. The people from Illusion Clan had expended a large amount of energy to break the ancient forbidden array which Huang Guiyou had set up, and before they could recover their energy, they saw Zhu Wu Exine being supported by Huan Luo as they headed towards the direction of the stone cave. Instantly, all of them were anxious. They had already lost an Illusion Clan's princess. If anything happened to Zhu Wu Exine again, their Illusion Clan, it was truly and utterly annihilated. But, no matter how they tried to dissuade, Zhu Wu Exine's expression had not a single bit of fluctuation. Nor did his vision fall onto them, only allowing Huan Luo to support him all the way to the school. The people from Illusion Clan were helpless. How could they let their only young matriarch get injured again, so they could only follow along. Yi Qing Luo dashed into the stone cave. The collapsing boulders around them rumbled loudly in their ears. Her figure nimbly swept past all the obstacles. Her gaze was like a torch, fixated on a certain spot in front. No one could see it, but Yi Qing Luo could clearly see. After she stepped into the stone cave, her azure dew bracelet surged with an extremely violent energy, as though a line had appeared out of thin air. From the azure dew bracelet, it extended all the way to a certain spot in front of the stone cave. Ever since Old Man Sung entered this place, he had some unusual movements. Under the influence of that sinister blood skill, he could only choose to fall into a deep sleep. This was enough to understand. There was probably some sort of connection between the azure dew bracelet and Huang Guiyou. And this connection, was it from Huang Guiyou or her mother? She could only wait till she met Huang Guiyou before she would know. As the cave caved in, thin cracks appeared on the ground. But it didn't affect the entire stone cave's internal structure. Yi Qing Luo's speed was extremely fast, and she had already reached the direction which the azure dew bracelet was guiding. The huge stone cave was filled with collapsed huge rocks. But the place where Yi Qing Luo was standing now seemed to be isolated from the surrounding environment. Broken rocks and collapsed rocks totally didn't affect this area at all. The ground was still flat. There were no rocks or boulders crashing over. It was as if they were consciously avoiding this area. And because of this, Yi Qing Luo could clearly see. In the midst of the huge stones that have collapsed all over the ground, a lifelike phoenix spreading its wings was carved on a stone wall in this area. Her phoenix feathers were distinct, and she raised her head and chest high. She looked noble and arrogant, high and mighty. Around the phoenix were densely packed totems that no one could understand. Like a shackle, it locked the phoenix tightly. For some reason, when he saw the phoenix desolate on the stone wall, Yi Qing Luo felt that the surging energy in the azure dew bracelet became even more turbulent. Especially, she could even feel the center of her forehead gradually heating up. The cherry blossoms that had been hidden all this time slowly surfaced on the girl's forehead. The cherry blossom flowed with a dazzling light, and it faintly flickered with a seductive red glow, which further complemented the young girl's devastatingly beautiful face, making it seem incomparably bright and beautiful. Yi Qing Luo suppressed the restlessness in her heart and bypassed the stone wall. On the back of the stone wall, there were 5 large words: Huang Guiyou's grave. Huang Guiyou's grave? What did this mean? This place was Huang Guiyou's grave? But, wasn't Huang Guiyou still alive? Chapter 52-40. Yi Qing Luo was filled with suspicions and curiosity. She was just about to size up these 5 words to see if there was any mystery hidden within. The raging hurricane suddenly surged over. The overbearing hurricane was like a tornado, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws, scouring the surroundings. Yi Qing Luo stood in the middle of the hurricane. Her ears were filled with the howling of the wind, making her slightly deaf. Her body seemed to have an extremely strong pulling force, attempting to pull her to a certain place. Yi Qing Luo flipped her hand and grabbed the edge of that huge stone wall. In her hand, it felt icy cold, as though it was formed from a year's worth of frost. Instantly Yi Qing Luo's heart turned cold. But Yi Qing Luo still didn't loosen her grip as she held on tightly to the stone wall, in case she was blown away by that overbearing hurricane. The raging hurricane made it difficult for her to even open her eyes to check the surrounding situation. After that, just as Yi Qing Luo was about to lose her senses from the hurricane, a ray of red light shot out from the stone wall under Yi Qing Luo's palm. Following that was a gush of scorching flames, which surrounded her. The hurricane blew wildly. Wave after wave of flames swayed incessantly, swallowing and spitting out scarlet flames. Yi Qing Luo forced herself to open her eyes. What entered her eyes was a huge raging sea of fire. The raging flame surrounded her entirely. It was like a blooming mandala in hell in front of her, floating with a demonic red glow, as though it could incinerate everything on the ground. The hurricane and the raging flames merged. This made Yi Qing Luo, who was leaning against the stone wall, feel even more uncomfortable. She frowned tightly, enduring the discomfort of the environment, as her gaze swept across the surroundings. The boundless sea of fire was surging in large swathes. Wherever her gaze landed, it was all engulfed in raging flames. But the scorching feeling was still there. But it didn't really hurt her body. At least, this scorching heat was still within the range that she could endure. Wait a minute. There seemed to be a black shadow floating in front. Yi Qing Luo suddenly fixed her sight on a certain spot in front. But as the raging flames swayed, Yi Qing Luo's eyeballs seemed to be swayed by the flames, as whatever she looked at was filled with layers of ripples. The raging flames were still surging. She couldn't tell what the black shadow in front of her was at all. After pondering for a moment, she tentatively moved her hand away from the stone wall. The cold sensation on the stone wall disappeared. He didn't know if it was a psychological effect. Yi Qing Luo felt that the surrounding raging flames had become even hotter. She pursed her lips and walked in the direction of the black figure. The flames surged and formed a bridge of fire under her feet. She stepped on the scarlet flames, her blood like fire. When complemented with the peach blossom red dress on her body, it caused her to seem like a goddess of war amidst raging flames, noble, elegant, and beautiful beyond compare. Further ahead, Yi Qing Luo could see the silhouette of the black shadow more clearly. It was a human figure, endless raging flames wrapped around that figure. The minute she saw that figure clearly, Yi Qing Luo stopped in her tracks. That was Huang Wuyo. Yes. The figure wrapped in flames was Huang Wuyo, with his 4 limbs spread out and wrapped in countless flames in the air. Large swathes of scarlet flames surged in the entire space. Yi Qing Luo's pupils shrank slightly. Here, it was the place where Huang Wuyo was sealed. And these scarlet flames were the key to sealing Huang Wuyo. Yi Qing Luo's gaze swept back and forth on Huang Wuyo, who was wrapped in flames for a while. In the end, he slowly shifted his gaze back to the stone wall. Chapter 52-41. If she hadn't sensed wrongly earlier. The sudden surge of flames came from the stone wall, which was carved with the words, Huang Wuyu's grave. Or, to be more precise, that stone wall was a stone tablet. The stone tablet of a gravestone. From the moment she saw Huang Wuyu, who was entangled in the raging flames, Yi Qing Luo already had a rough guess. If she hadn't guessed wrongly. This stone tablet was carved with a lifelike phoenix on one side and Huang Wuyu's grave on the other side. It should be made by her mother, Feng Gu. That phoenix should be the key to sealing Huang Wuyu. And the 4 big words on the back. It should be Feng Ji's most direct and sincere blessing to Huang Wuyu. She believed that one day, this place would definitely become Huang Wuyu's grave. He wanted Huang Wuyo to fall into an eternal slumber. The flames wrapped around Huang Wuyo's body, binding him to the point where he couldn't move at all. It came from the power of Phoenix Desolate on the stone tablet. The magnificence on the stone tablet and the complicated and treacherous totem. They were all things which suppressed Huang Wuyu. The raging flames seemed to have merged with the air. Yi Qing Luo looked over. Other than the raging flames, there was still raging flames. Completely, it had merged into one. Perhaps he had sensed that someone was approaching. That tightly shut eyes, even in the raging flames, the man's face was still pale, suddenly opened his eyes. His sharp and malicious eyes shot over, like a sharp knife stabbing over. When he met Yi Qing Luo's face, that pair of cold and sharp eyes suddenly shrank. There was a moment of daze, as his pupils unconsciously enlarged. But very quickly, the other party seemed to have reacted to something. That pale thin lips curled into a sneer of ridicule. You indeed found your way here. Yi Qing Luo had been sizing up Huang Wuyu. Naturally, she didn't miss the moment when he was stunned and the changes in his eyes. Her long and narrow eyes squinted into a daze. What was he in a daze for? Earlier, what did he think of? Which was why he revealed that expression which made him lose his composure? Was it because when he saw her face, he thought of her mother? Thinking of Feng Gu. Yi Qing Luo's eyes were filled with a chilly intent as she remained expressionless and met Huang Wuyo's gaze indifferently. Her pink lips moved slightly, and each word was filled with coldness and ruthlessness. If I didn't come, how could I make you completely disappear from this world? You want to kill your father? When Huang Wuyo heard this, he didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed. Although he seemed cultured and refined, his eyes were filled with ruthlessness. Under this cold and sinister smile, there was a hint of mockery. Yi Qing Luo was expressionless. In this life of yours, you've done too many wrong things, and the people you've let down the most are me and mother. She paused, her voice carrying a bit of firmness. So, I'm sending you down to apologize to mother. Ha. Ha ha ha, Huang Wuyo laughed even more exaggeratedly. As he smiled, the raging flames around him began to surge crazily, wrapping tightly around Huang Wuyo's body. They were like fire snakes. Huang Wuyo laughed, but his voice was clearly trembling. His expression turned even more unsightly. Apparently, these raging flames would change according to his emotions, so that it would be easier to seal him. But Huang Wuyo was long used to this kind of torture. He was still laughing. Have you forgotten, Gu-er? Her soul has already dispersed. In this world, she will no longer exist. Even if this god goes down, I will not be able to see her. Ha ha ha. Chapter 52-42. Yi Qing Luo's expression turned gloomy. That pair of long and narrow eyes were filled with anger. Her slender fingers clenched into a fist, as a biting cold sharpness surged in her eyes. Very angry? It's right to be angry. Huang Wuyo looked at Yi Qing Luo's expression and laughed even more savagely. Seeing you angry but unable to do anything to me, it really makes me feel carefree. So what if I've been sealed? Don't I still have to use my life to fight? All of you will die one by one, with your souls scattered. As for me, I can still be fine, or I can just watch all of you die one by one in order to kill me. Ha ha ha. A bunch of fools. A bunch of fools. Huang Wuyo's tone was filled with rampant ridicule. That obviously handsome, but because of his crazed twisted expression, it looked extremely terrifying, as a maniacal smile surfaced. Yi Qing Luo's expression, in the midst of rage, gradually calmed down along with Huang Wuyo's maniacal ridicule. Her eyes were icy cold as she stared at Huang Wuyo expressionlessly. When he was done laughing, he then opened his mouth indifferently. So what if you're alive? Aren't you still suffering from endless loneliness and the oppression of being bound? Without freedom, you're just living alone, so that's why you're so twisted. The young lady's voice was very calm, without much fluctuation in her emotions. But the words that came out made Huang Wuyo's laughter stop abruptly. Huang Wuyo's eyes turned cold. What do you know? He stopped Yi Qing Luo's voice and shouted angrily, I only want to be strong. Only to be above all living beings, to be invincible and powerful. As long as I'm strong, everything will be under my control. There are so many people who are willing to submit to me. How could I possibly be lonely? His face was cold and arrogant, with a tinge of ridicule, as he sneered at Yi Qing Luo. As for freedom, This seat will have absolute freedom soon. By then, you will be under me. As long as I'm around, I won't let you undo the seal. Yi Qing Luo's voice was indifferent, as her long and narrow eyes were filled with a faint glow. Huang Guiyou sneered, "Heh, you sure are confident." Yi Qing Luo's gaze was fixated on his face without blinking, as her pink lips rose slightly. "Of course I'm confident, because I know that you're already panicking in your heart." Yi Qing Luo's words fell. The sneer on Huang Guiyou's face froze. Then he stared at Yi Qing Luo for a long time and suddenly burst out laughing. "This seat is flustered? Ha ha ha. This is the funniest joke that I've heard in 10,000 years." His gaze was sharp as he stared coldly at Yi Qing Luo, his eyes filled with ridicule. Even back then, when this seat and Gu crossed hands, this seat had never felt flustered at all. "Just based on you, this seat's daughter, you can make this seat flustered?" Yi Qing Luo didn't have the slightest trace of embarrassment on her face. She just quietly looked at Huang Guiyou. It was as if he was looking at a person who was trying to argue and cause trouble for no reason expressionlessly. It was so calm and indifferent. Huang Guiyou's body, which was entangled in the raging flames, tensed up at this moment. That face which was laughing maniacally was also tensed up terribly. Seeing him keeping quiet, the young lady's pink lips rose again, as she smiled faintly. "Huang Guiyou, you're right, I'm your daughter." When she mentioned the word daughter, her tone was calm, as though it couldn't stir up any ripples. That was a kind of indifferent attitude towards this identity, this title. Chapter 52-43. The calmer she was, the more indifferent she was. This meant that this title had no weight in her heart at all. Huang Guiyou frowned slightly as an indescribable sense of irritation arose. Compared to the discomfort of being entangled by the raging flames and the intense pain in his body, it made him even more irritable. He hadn't even opened his mouth. On the other side, the young lady's clear voice rang once again. "Because of this, towards you, I can be considered as understanding." Her lips curled upwards, the sweet smile on her pink lips brought with it a tinge of chilly coldness. "So, I know very well that you're putting on a brave front now." As her pink lips spat out the last 4 words, Huang Guiyou's pupils shrank imperceptibly. Yi Qing Luo slowly raised her hand. She held the feather fan between her slender, white fingers and slowly unfurled it. That feather fan was encircled with raging flames. It also seemed to have a red glow like lightning, flickering in and out. It contrasted against the young lady's fingertips, making them even more fair and translucent. "Huang Guiyou, the current you. How are you going to resist?" Her hand slowly pointed towards Huang Guiyou's direction. Looking at the man who was entangled by the raging flames and suspended in mid-air, the chilling intent in her eyes almost froze the surrounding air. "No matter how strong you are, once the poison enters your soul, to detoxify it, you will need to spend quite a lot of time and energy." She laughed lightly, her tone was filled with ridicule. "Now you're just pretending to be fine in front of me. I'm not exposing you, because I want to see how long you can last." From the moment she saw Huang Guiyou's original body, Yi Qing Luo was already completely sure. Huang Guiyou's current state was merely a forced act. No matter how much Huang Guiyou wanted to show that he wasn't affected by any poison. But the poison entering his body was definitely something that could be seen from his face. Not to mention, those poison had directly entered Huang Guiyou's soul. Yi Qing Luo only took a glance at Huang Guiyou's face and was already certain. Huang Guiyou was poisoned. She was rather confident in her poison. After all, it was a poison that was specially learnt to refine in the pill refining secret manual. Even for a cultivator like Huang Guiyou. Blinked in the same way. Yi Qing Luo's feather fan slowly pointed towards Huang Guiyou's face as she smiled even more radiantly. "Moreover, revered Guiyou, don't forget that I am Feng Gu, the daughter of the previous god emperor, and I have the bloodline of the divine phoenix inheritance." She tilted her head and smiled brightly. "So, do you think that I won't be able to mend the seal after I know what's truly sealing you? The girl's pink lips spat out word by word. Huang Guio's sinister face, which was filled with pride and mockery, finally began to show a subtle change. That malicious cold eyes stared intently at Yiqing Luo. Like a venomous snake's gaze, it made Yiqing Luo smile instead. Looks like, I guessed correctly. You're really smart. You're completely different from your mother, whose soul has already dissipated. Under Huang Guio's extreme anger, he specially targeted the thorn in Yiqing Luo's heart, stabbing it in. But, even so what? Do you think you can stop me from breaking out of the formation? Yiqing Luo's eyes suddenly turned cold as her expression turned ugly. She gripped her glower flame fan tightly as she suddenly turned around and headed towards the direction of the stone tablet. Whether I can or not, let me try and we'll know. Her figure stretched out as she once again got close to the stone tablet which was floating in flames, pressing her hand directly onto the stone tablet. Chapter 52-44. That complicated totem and lifelike phoenix desolate stone tablet was flickering with an enchanting flame, as though it was welcoming Yiqing Luo's arrival. The young lady's eyes were chilly and her eyes were filled with a frosty glint, emitting a cold and determined murderous aura. Just as she was nearing the stone tablet, the young lady's fingertip drew a line. There was a cut on the girl's white fingertip, and fresh blood oozed out. A drop, crystal clear, slid into her palm. That bright red blood contrasted against the young lady's fair skin. Following that, the young lady's palm flipped. In a blink of an eye, that drop of blood had covered her entire palm. Following that, she pressed it hard against the stone tablet. Bam! 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 A surge of strong profound yin qi surged from her back. Huang Guio shouted angrily, Yiqing Luo, do you really think that I don't dare to kill you? Under the blazing flame. Thick profound yin qi exploded from Huang Guio's body as he attacked Yiqing Luo ferociously. That momentum seemed as though it was going to swallow Yiqing Luo completely. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes squinted slightly as her lips curled into a sarcastic sneer. Huang Guio disregarded the state of the seal as he forcefully split out his soul consciousness to deplete his energy. This also showed that he was indeed panicking. This also showed that all her guesses earlier were correct. Actually, she didn't have much confidence. After all, everything was based on her own guesses and deductions. Looked like, the key to sealing Huang Guio was indeed on the stone tablet. However, she still had no idea how to do it. The only thing she was sure of was, this stone tablet had an extreme thirst for her blood. Especially when her hand was placed on the stone tablet. She even felt that the lifelike phoenix's blazing red pupils blinked at her gently when she fixed her eyes on it. But there was no abnormality. As though it was her misconception. Which was the moment when she was in a daze. Her hand which was placed on the stone tablet was suddenly clasped and forcefully pulled away from the stone tablet. Yiqing Luo wanted to retaliate. He seemed to have guessed her thoughts, and he actually took the initiative to block her attack. After that, he once again grabbed her other hand and restrained her movements. The unfamiliar yet faintly familiar aura made Yiqing Luo's brows creased slightly. She didn't struggle. She pushed against the chest that was pressing against her and raised her head. Then, he met a pair of eyes that were as black as ink and did not show much emotion. Yiqing Luo was stunned once again. Gu Jingyu? The person in front of her had a handsome and gentle face. Just by looking at him, one could feel a warm feeling that was like a gentle wind sweeping through one's body. Even if his face was expressionless and his eyes were lifeless. Even so, it was unable to conceal the gentleness and elegance emanating from his bones. In this world, apart from Gu Jingyu, who else could possess such a temperament? Why was he here? Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased tightly as she looked at that warm face which was just inches away from her, before her vision shifted on to Huang Guio. Gu Jingyu was Huang Guio's disciple. Now, he had completely turned into Huang Guio's chess piece, and had forgotten all his feelings. The current Gu Jingyu was just a puppet in Huang Guio's hands. A puppet which was used to deal with her. She had to admit. Huang Guio's chess move was extremely well played. Gu Jingyu and Chu Wuxin were different. Although Chu Wuxin had helped her a lot. But all his help was based on making use of her. Chapter 52-45. All of Gu Jingyu's feelings were extracted because of her. A person who had lost his feelings. How could he be considered as a real person? And the reason for all these was because of her. So when Gu Jingyu appeared in front of her, Yi Qing Luo was stunned. What followed was a surge of complicated emotions. Yi Qing Luo, long time no see. The man opened his mouth, his voice was calm, still that clear and moist feeling. His hand clasped her wrist so that she couldn't move at all. Yi Qing Luo's eyelashes fluttered slightly, as she struggled free from his hand. What are you trying to do? Gu Jingyu allowed her to struggle free, and after the young lady took 2 steps back, he used his own body to block in front of the stone tablet, cutting off the distance between Yi Qing Luo and the stone tablet. His gentle eyes, faintly congealed on Yi Qing Luo, as his lips curled slightly, as his tone carried a hint of indifference. My motive here, isn't it obvious? You want to stop me. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes. The previous you was not my opponent, do you think? You can stop me now? The more Gu Jingyu tried to stop her, and the more he understood a problem. This stone tablet, and her God Emperor descendant's blood, was the key to sealing Huang Guio. My dear daughter. Then do you think, after his ability is not as good as yours, this seat will not undergo other transformations? That man who was entangled in the raging flames, laughed sinisterly. Huang Guio's body was surrounded by a thick profound yin qi. That face, under the contrast of one black and one red, looked extremely terrifying and sinister. Between his brows, there was a thick black qi. Yi Qing Luo frowned slightly. She was stunned by Huang Guio's look. She was also disgusted by Huang Guio's words, my dear daughter, as she had goosebumps all over. She pursed her lips tightly, as she remained silent for a while. Transformation? What do you treat him as? He actually used the word transformation on a person. Gu Jingyu had been transformed by him, wasn't it enough? The current Gu Jingyu only had Gu Jingyu's memories, but completely without any feelings, a puppet who only knew how to follow Huang Guio's memories. He had already turned into this state. Huang Guio was still modifying him. Did they really treat humans as machines? Yi Qing Luo had always thought. Based on Huang Guio's personality, he would definitely take Gu Jingyu's life after Gu Jingyu had helped him time and time again, causing his plans to fail. But Huang Guio has no cherry. Gu Jingyu was still alive and well. Yi Qing Luo thought that he was after all a disciple whom he had nurtured wholeheartedly, so he should have some feelings for him, which was why he was so tolerant towards Gu Jingyu. But Huang Guio had extracted all of Gu Jingyu's emotions, leaving behind only his loyalty to him and his mind, filled with memories that belonged to Gu Jingyu, but he could no longer touch Gu Jingyu's memories. To do such a thing. Did she really have feelings for Gu Jingyu? Did Huang Guio really just want to make use of her guilt towards Gu Jingyu to make Gu Jingyu stop her? Was it that simple? My precious daughter, the key to unlocking the seal lies with you. Huang Guio laughed coldly again. That laughter was mixed with some sort of emotion. Did you think that you only have the use of restoring the seal? He laughed sinisterly. I was still thinking about how to get you to help me break the seal, but I didn't expect you to send yourself to my doorstep. Yi Qing Luo's vision shifted towards Huang Guio. The profound yin qi on his face and body, as well as the surrounding flames, became more and more intense. Chapter 52-46. As though they were contending against each other. Yi Qing Luo's expression sunk as her long and narrow eyes narrowed as she pondered over Huang Guio's words. She was the key to unlocking the seal. What did this sentence mean? Her appearance. Didn't it make Huang Guio flustered? Why did it suddenly become? She was the key to unlocking the seal. Yiqing Luo's gaze swept back and forth between Huang Wuyo and Gu Jingyu. Gu Jingyu suddenly stretched out his hand towards her as his fingers turned into sharp claws as he attacked towards her heart. His palm was encircled with thick profound yin qi, like a sharp blade, as though it was going to pierce through Yiqing Luo's heart. Yiqing Luo's reaction was agile as she swiftly retreated backwards, narrowly avoiding Gu Jingyu's attack. Following that, she turned sideways and distanced herself from Gu Jingyu. She lowered her eyes as she looked at her chest. There was a cut on her peach-red robe as a few pieces of cloth floated down. She raised her hand and pressed against her chest as she suddenly understood the meaning behind Huang Wuyo's words. Huang Wuyo's target was her profound jade heart. Huang Wuyo wanted her profound jade heart to undo his seal. Yiqing Luo's brows creased even tighter. Huang Wuyo was flustered previously. It was because she had discovered a way to strengthen the seal. And he was unable to stop her. But now, he had a capable helper like Gu Jingyu. Not only could he stop Yiqing Luo, he could also help him to obtain her profound jade heart. It was a good idea. Huang Wuyo had no intention to hide as he saw Yiqing Luo evading Gu Jingyu's attack. He laughed sinisterly. Your profound jade heart is the most perfect work of mine and Gu. I have spent a lot of effort for this profound jade heart of yours. 10,000 years ago, this piece of divine phoenix profound jade should have belonged to me. Now, you have nurtured this profound jade heart for so long, it's time to return it to me. His voice was sinister and treacherous, with a hint of insane greed. Mentioning Feng Gu. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes surfaced a trace of viciousness. She had seen that memory from 10,000 years ago in the barbaric blood-bone king's memory. Naturally it was clear. Huang Wuyo touched the profound heart jade in her body. How he had hurt Feng Gu and deceived the barbaric blood-bone king. At every moment, he was thinking about how to dig out her profound heart jade. Such a person was not fit to be a father. Yiqing Luo's palm pressed against her own heart, her dark pupils were fixated on Huang Wuyo without blinking, her words were icy cold. My things belong to me. What has it got to do with you? Still? Did he deserve to use that word? Huang Wuyo sneered coldly. As he laughed, his face suddenly turned pale and his entire body tensed up. It was as if he was tightly entangled by the raging flames. Or perhaps the poison in his body was starting to surge again. However, he still tightened his voice and gnashed his teeth as he said, Gu Jingyu, dig out her profound heart jade. Gu Jingyu's emotionless eyes fell lightly onto Yiqing Luo's heart. His face was still as gentle as jade. However, the expression on his face and the emotions in his eyes were as cold as dead water. After that, he directly attacked Yiqing Luo. His attacks were ruthless, without any intention of showing mercy. He directly attacked her heart. Yiqing Luo's glower flame fan opened up, blocking Gu Jingyu's attack. My dear daughter, you only have two choices now. Even though Huang Wuyo was in pain, even though he was entangled by the raging flames, it had defeated his resistance. He still forced himself to smile. Chapter 52-47. That laughter was so eerie that it made one's hair stand on end. His malicious eyes were fixated on Yiqing Luo as his words were filled with malice, either you kill him. After that, he paused as his smile became even more eerie, or he dig out your profound jade heart. Huang Wuyo was very clear about Yiqing Luo's current thoughts. Based on Yiqing Luo's character, these two choices. Both were unacceptable to Yiqing Luo. But unfortunately, he wanted her to accept such a choice now. He wanted to destroy Yiqing Luo's self-righteous goodness. He wanted to dye Yiqing Luo black. He wanted Yiqing Luo to become like him, a person in the dark. Her own death, or to let a puppet who stood in opposition to her, and had completely forgotten his feelings die? Huang Wuyo's eyes were filled with a hint of madness. Every man for himself, my darling daughter. He's just a killing tool without any feelings now, can't you do it? Yiqing Luo held her glower flame fan horizontally, blocking Gu Jingyu's fierce attack. Every move was directed towards her heart. That pair of dark eyes, without any light, was a void of spirit. If she continued to hide like this, after a long time, she would be the one to suffer. She took a step back, once again avoiding Gu Jingyu. She looked at Yiqing Luo and sneered, "Are you sure, you want me to kill him?" Her fingers gripped the glower flame fan tightly. Her bright glass-like pupils, at this moment, seemed to be shrouded in a trace of haze, making one unable to see the emotions within. The young girl's dark red lips curled up slightly as she spat out a few words with a hint of mockery. "If I kill him, no one will be able to stop me from sealing you completely, or making you completely disappear from this world. If I can seal you, using his life to exchange, is not impossible. Just like what you said, the current Gu Jingyu is just an empty shell without feelings, I believe. He is not willing to be like this, living like a walking corpse." The young lady's indifferent tone said indifferently. There wasn't much emotion in her voice. But it made Huang Guiyou stop laughing. Huang Guiyou frowned slightly, as if he could not believe that the young girl would say such a thing. He also couldn't believe that the young girl could still analyze things calmly like zits at this time. Their eyes met. One pretended to be cold and emotionless to hide the turbulent emotions in his heart. One's heart was in turmoil, and he was full of guesses. No one noticed, after hearing the young girl's words, the puppet, with a face as gentle as jade and eyes without the slightest hint of emotion. Little by little, the pair of hollow and dim eyes flashed with a faint, eerie light. It was fleeting. Amidst this silent atmosphere, suddenly, the sound of countless chaotic footsteps approached quickly. The first to enter was Zhu Wu Xian, who was supported by Huan Luo. The man, who had always been calm and indifferent, was now leaning on Huan Luo in a sorry state. His face was pale, and his forehead was covered in cold sweat. His breathing was obviously heavy. The man's cold eyes sized up Yiqing Luo from top to bottom when he saw her. He confirmed that the girl was not injured. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. When she saw him, Yiqing Luo frowned. "Zhu Wu Xian, what are you following me for?" This place was where Huang Guiyou was sealed. It was filled with danger. Based on Zhu Wu Xian's current condition, even if he was to stand here, it would be extremely strenuous. Chapter 52-48. Isn't the reason why young patriarch came here because of you? Huan Luo originally held a grudge against Yiqing Luo, and now that she heard Yiqing Luo's obviously unhappy words, she couldn't control her emotions. For her, young patriarch disregarded his own health and rushed over forcefully, but met with such treatment from Yiqing Luo. What right did Yiqing Luo have? It was merely because of young patriarch's fondness. When Yiqing Luo heard that, her slender brows creased even tighter. She ignored Huan Luo as she looked towards Zhu Wu Xian, and her voice sounded a little disapproving. "Zhu Wu Xian, you know very well what kind of condition your body is in. What can you do to help me by forcing yourself to come in?" Yiqing Luo's words were impolite. Although her tone was calm, and there wasn't any intention to go against him. But in Huan Luo's ears, it was Yiqing Luo's disdain towards her young patriarch. She was just short of understanding that her young patriarch was a burden. Thinking of young patriarch dragging his dispirited body and rushing over to this dangerous place, just because he was worried about Feng Qing Luo. Huan Luo instantly felt that it wasn't worth it. The anger in her heart rose to the peak at this moment. Why did young patriarch become like this? Isn't it all because of you? If it wasn't for you who poisoned young patriarch, how could young patriarch possibly be so weak? Huan Luo stood in front of Zhu Wu Xian, blocking Yiqing Luo's slightly squinted, seemingly displeased gaze. Her face was cold as she continued speaking sternly. "Even though young patriarch's body is so weak, because he was worried about you, he forcefully endured the discomfort of his body and came in to ensure your safety. It's fine if you don't know how to be grateful, but why do you have to say such words to hurt young patriarch?" Huan Luo. Zhu Wuxian's voice was slightly hoarse as he berated her sternly. Huan Luo bit her lower lip tightly as she had no intention to move. These words, "If not for me, young patriarch is filled with emotions, big sister Feng, great divine phoenix would definitely not know about it. Or perhaps you're pretending not to know." She intentionally emphasized on the terms, big sister Feng, great divine phoenix, in a mocking tone. Young patriarch isn't good at using words to express his inner feelings. He's not good at expressing himself, so even if he did so many things, you still can't see it. Huan Luo clenched her fists tightly as she straightened her body, as though she was bearing an immense pressure. Let her suffer. But at the same time, he stubbornly wanted to vent his anger. Yiqing Luo, do you even have a heart? Do they have eyes? Can't you see what young master has done for you? Yiqing Luo kept silent. It was only after Huan Luo had finished shouting hysterically that she slowly fixed her gaze on Huan Luo. Her eyes were calm, and not much emotion could be seen from them. That pair of long and narrow eyes rippled with a quiet and serene light. Just by meeting her gaze, one would feel an indescribable sense of fear. First, Yiqing Luo's pink lips moved slightly. Her voice was also very indifferent. He was poisoned because his skills were not up to par, so he only has himself to blame. The first person to poison was Zhu Wuxin. He failed to poison her and was poisoned by her instead. How could he blame her? Didn't she just stand there obediently and let him poison her? She was not a fool. As for the fact that Zhu Wuxin would be poisoned, she did not regret it. Don't say that it wasn't the right time for her to poison him. Remember one thing. The first person to make a move was Zhu Wuxin. Whereas she was merely giving him a taste of his own medicine. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes rose slightly as she opened her mouth once again. Second. Chapter 52-49. Knowing that your body isn't feeling well, but you insist on coming to this kind of place where you might die if you lose focus. This isn't called being wholehearted for me. This is called being silly. Within the forbidden array was Huang Guio's sealed grounds. Danger lurked everywhere. Even if Zhu Wuxian wasn't poisoned, just standing in this place would cause him to be corroded by the profound yin qi and the raging flames which came from the power of the divine phoenix which sealed Huang Guio. Moreover, it was him who had no battle power at all. Even if it was because he was worried about her. He shouldn't treat his own life as a joke. This kind of worry wouldn't make her feel touched. Instead it made her feel very burdened. Worry and concern could be used. But it also depended on the situation. Thirdly, Yiqing Luo's gaze slowly fell onto Zhu Wuxian. She was replying to Huan Luo and also telling him solemnly. As for why I can't see young Lord Chu's efforts, that's because, in my eyes, he has never existed. The young lady's pink lips opened and closed, spitting out words which made one feel sharp. Because I don't love him, so I don't give him any response. This is my responsibility towards myself and also towards him. Rather than giving him a groundless expectation, why not cut off his thoughts right from the start? But I've underestimated young Lord Chu's obsession. She lifted her eyes and sighed faintly. I'm very sorry about not being able to respond to his feelings. But this is not an excuse for you to use to accuse me. Huan Luo's expression was tense as she stretched out her finger and pointed at Yiqing Luo, her eyes filled with frost. But after some time, she didn't manage to retort. In the end, she clenched her teeth tightly and lowered her gaze. She supported Zhu Wuxian and her tone was filled with anger. Young lord, you heard that right. This kind of woman, what's there for you to like? Heart of stone, not knowing how to be grateful. Shut up. Zhu Wuxian's face turned pale as he struggled to break free from Huan Luo's support. This action made his breathing even heavier. He lost all his strength as he fell onto the ground. Even though he was in such a sorry state. But his stern and cold aura made him look extremely cold and arrogant. His eyes were sharp and cold as he looked at Huan Luo coldly. Since when did you have the right to interfere in my matters? Huan Luo was violently flung by him and staggered a step back. Her eyes were filled with disbelief as she looked at Zhu Wuxin. Young master, everything she said was for his sake. In order to let Feng Qing Luo know what he had done. What did she do wrong? Take her away. Zhu Wuxin's eyes turned cold as he looked at the group of people from the illusion clan behind him. His tone was icy and contained a faint killing intent. Huan Luo's body swayed slightly, as if she did not dare to believe Zhu Wuxian's words. The people from the illusion tribe hesitated for a moment before pulling Huan Luo to their side. Yiqing Luo didn't say a word as she silently looked at these illusory clansmen who were flocking over. Actually, this was the difference between love and not love. Zhu Wuxin loved her, so he was so obsessed with her that even though she had rejected him several times, he still couldn't get rid of his obsession with her. Huan Luo loved him, so she wholeheartedly stood on his side, feeling angry for him. It wasn't worth it. But she didn't love Zhu Wuxin, so towards Zhu Wuxian's efforts, other than gratitude, or difficulty, or perplexity, she had no other emotions. To the extent that when Zhu Wuxian refused to listen to her rejection, she pestered him several times. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5250. At that time, she was only left with trouble. Just like how Zhu Wuxian didn't love Huan Luo, so when Huan Luo showed concern and felt unfair for him, his heart wasn't moved at all, and instead he was filled with murderous intent. In love, there was no right or wrong. There was only love and not love. You all really don't put this seed in your eyes. A sinister voice was heard from the side. Huang Guio's twisted and horrifying face was filled with pain. Under the coquettish flames, it became more and more terrifying. His sinister and sharp gaze shifted towards Gu Jingyu, as he sternly gave an order. Gu Jingyu, what are you still in a daze for? Do it, kill all of them, and dig out my precious daughter's profound heart jade. And offer it to me. As he opened his mouth to speak, the profound yin qi which had been swallowed by the raging flames started to slowly spread out again. The profound yin qi gradually thickened. The expression on Huang Guio's face became more and more painful and sinister, as though he was suffering from an extreme pain. Yiqing Luo knew that Huang Guio's current situation was totally fighting against the poison in his body, and even the deepest part of his soul. What made Yiqing Luo astonished was Huang Guio could actually endure so much. Enduring till now, he still had extra energy to spend on her. But after Huang Guio gave the order, that puppet like Gu Jingyu didn't attack at the first instance. He stood there in a daze, lowering his head, as though he was thinking about something. Thinking? Yiqing Luo went into a slight blank. How would a puppet know how to think? But the current Gu Jingyu, indeed, looked like he was in a state of thinking. Moreover, he didn't act immediately after hearing Huang Guio's order like before. She congealed for a moment, as her long and narrow eyes squinted, as she sized up Gu Jingyu uncertainly. Could it be? Just as Yiqing Luo had some thoughts, as it flashed past her mind. Huang Guio's sharp voice exploded once again. Gu Jingyu, kill. That man who had lowered his head, suddenly raised his head. His face, which was as gentle as jade, was devoid of any emotion. A cold glint faintly flashed across those seemingly clear yet emotionless eyes of hers. Fleeting. It was so fast that Yiqing Luo felt that she had seen an illusion. In the next instant, the man who had been standing still made his move. Yiqing Luo couldn't think of anything else. He doesn't have any thoughts. Protect your young master, don't bother about me. She didn't know if it was because of her voice. After Gu Jingyu moved, his speed was extremely fast as he directly attacked in Zhu Wuxin's direction. He didn't even glance at Yiqing Luo from the corner of his eyes. Yiqing Luo only hesitated for a moment and speedily made a decision as she headed towards the direction of that stone tablet, closing in once again. The illusion race had arrived just in time. And Gu Jingyu's target was placed on them, which was just right. She took the opportunity to study the stone tablet. It would be best if she could strengthen Huang Guio's seal. Darling daughter. Don't belittle your father. Huang Guio saw through Yiqing Luo's intention with one look as he sneered sinisterly. Following his sinister smile, cold and gloomy mysterious yin qi surged over. Yiqing Luo's peripheral vision was shrouded by a patch of dense black yin qi. She immediately retreated, distancing herself from the stone tablet. The dense mysterious yin qi instantly covered the surface of the stone tablet. At the same time, a black figure gradually revealed itself from within the mysterious yin qi. His black robe fluttered, as though black smoke was floating. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 52-51. That was a figure condensed from the profound yin qi. That revealed face. It was Huang Guio. After Yiqing Luo avoided the stone tablet, she raised her eyes to take a look at that figure and immediately looked at the sealed Huang Guio. Under the entanglement of the raging flames, Huang Guio's face looked even more terrifying and bloodless. He obviously had such a gentle face, but it was malevolent and sinister. When he met Yiqing Luo's gaze, that pair of treacherous dark eyes started to emit a deep and gloomy coldness. He grinned and laughed sinisterly. Yiqing Luo frowned tightly. Don't think that Huang Guio looked very complacent and safe and sound. But Yiqing Luo was certain. He was just forcing himself to be brave. He was poisoned and corroded by the seal. He had already used up all his energy. Now, he even used his mental power to condense a doppelganger. No matter how strong Huang Guio was, or how strong his mental power was, right now, his body and mind must be completely empty. From the state of this doppelganger Huang Guio, she could tell that he was already straining himself. Previously the doppelganger Huang Guio had formed. It was an independent existence. It possessed an independent body and could move freely. But the doppelganger Huang Guio now, it was condensed from the profound yin qi. Its body was shrouded in the hazy profound yin qi and was unable to form. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes narrowed dangerously as a sharp glint flashed in her eyes. If taking advantage of this moment to defeat Huang Guio's doppelganger, it would definitely cause him a heavy injury. By then, while Huang Guio had no way to resist, she would completely seal him. She would definitely succeed. That lad can't be relied on, this seat will personally take your profound heart jade. The doppelganger laughed sinisterly, that malevolent face was filled with greed. His gaze was like a venomous snake, staring straight at Yiqing Luo's heart. The profound yin qi encircled his body as it revolved crazily. The divine phoenix profound heart jade that has been nurtured by you for so long must be the best nourishment. With this profound heart jade of yours, it will definitely give me endless power. It will allow me to directly break through this damned seal and break out of this cocoon. Huang Guio's impassioned voice rang out. The doppelganger grinned sinisterly. Under the burning of the enchanting flames, it seemed extremely cold. It was a chilling scene. The dense black mysterious yin qi surged like waves and lingered around the doppelganger's body, causing the doppelganger to emit a piercingly cold and terrifying aura. It looked like a black dragon. It could open its bloody mouth and swallow her at any time. Yiqing Luo had long been filled with vigilance towards the doppelganger. When the doppelganger moved, he had already made the most direct response. She stomped her feet on the ground, and the peach blossom black-haired girl instantly bounced up like a spring. The glowing flame fan in his hands also quickly turned into countless sharp blades that were condensed from strong profound energy, forming wave after wave of surging waves in midair, perfectly and accurately evading the doppelganger's attack and retaliating. Two bursts of energy clashed against each other in the sealed space of the raging flames, giving off a loud crackling sound. After this exchange, Yi Qing Luo was almost certain. This doppelganger's power was much weaker than the two doppelgangers she had seen previously. Moreover, this doppelganger needed profound yin qi to be formed. Chapter 52-52. And in this place which was sealed by the divine phoenix's power, it was completely targeted at the profound yin qi. It was imaginable that when Huang Wuyo released the profound yin qi, not only did he have to break down his spirit and condense his clone, he also had to bear the corrosion of the seal's power. Naturally, his ability was much weaker. When Yi Qing Luo crossed hands with those doppelgangers previously, it was extremely strenuous. But now, not only did she not feel strenuous, she even felt that she could easily avoid the doppelgangers and counter them. As long as she took the opportunity to annihilate them, she would be able to cause Huang Wuyo's original body to suffer a heavy injury. Yi Qing Luo's long and narrow eyes narrowed. The glower flame fan on her fingertips spun faster and faster. Like a ring of fire, it formed between her fingers. The blazing red glow lingered around the glower flame fan under the sky of raging flames. As the young lady moved, the profound aura became thicker and more majestic. Following that, she attacked the direction of the doppelgangers directly. Her movements were swift. In a blink of an eye, she had already closed in on the doppelgangers. The aura from both sides was getting colder and colder. But just as she closed in on the doppelgangers, Yi Qing Luo's expression suddenly changed. She frowned as she stared at the doppelgangers in front of her, her heart thumped suddenly. No. Something was wrong. At this critical juncture, Huang Wuyo should be trying his best to stop her, in case she had the chance to destroy the stone tablet and seal him completely. How could it be possible to condense such a weak doppelganger? Wasn't this obviously sending her to die? So, what was Huang Wuyo trying to sell in his gourd? What on earth was he trying to do, to actually expend his own mental energy to make such a meaningless struggle? The moment Yi Qing Luo understood, she immediately retracted her hand and wanted to turn back. But, oh! That thick black profound yin qi suddenly formed two huge black hands, grabbing onto Yi Qing Luo's shoulders. That icy cold touch made Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but shiver. A strong pulling force fiercely dragged her into the mysterious yin qi. At the same time Yi Qing Luo's body hid into the profound yin qi, a fierce profound aura fluctuation surged beside her ears. As though it was about to explode beside her ears. Yi Qing Luo wanted to move. But the hand on her shoulder held her down so tightly that she had no chance to move at all. Yi Qing Luo swiftly surveyed the surroundings. The dense profound yin qi sealed off all the auras around her. He could even vaguely sense a sharp cold light. Ha ha ha. Feng Qing Luo, you've ultimately lost because of your conceit. Huang Wuyo's sinister voice seemed to be floating around her ears. He's smiling. His laughter was filled with pain, but it was also filled with joy from the bottom of his heart. It was a smile of success. Yi Qing Luo didn't struggle as she tensed up and tried to sense Huang Wuyo's position. Don't even think of struggling. Following Huang Wuyo's laughter, Yi Qing Luo could feel the strength on her shoulder increasing, just obediently become a part of this seat's body. My darling daughter, I let you be born into this world. Now, it is time for you to repay me. In the thick mysterious yin qi, Yi Qing Luo felt the pulling force on her shoulder, as it grew stronger, pulling her towards a certain direction, bit by bit. Yi Qing Luo could even feel an icy cold touch was penetrating her chest, slowly touching her skin. It seemed like to pierce into her heart and dig out her profound jade heart. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentle with your love, everyone please collect it. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentle with your love, hit me. Chapter 52-53. Motherf *Ker. Huang Wuyo was too treacherous. He actually schemed against her. Yiqing Luo's eyes turned cold as she glanced at the Azure Dew bracelet. Product equals book/web. Following that, the Azure Dew bracelet abruptly burst into a stream of raging flames as it encircled Yiqing Luo. The profound yin qi that directly invaded her heart in an attempt to dig out her profound heart jade was instantly blocked outside. The raging flames turned into clear and crystalline waves of light. With a boom, a vast energy was released from Yiqing Luo's body. The profound yin qi that enveloped her was also frantically tearing at it, as though it was contending against Yiqing Luo's energy. Yiqing Luo could feel that the two-palm-like profound yin qi that clamped down on her body was gradually increasing in strength. It conveyed a sense of urgency. Under that thick darkness, Huang Wuyo's clone's face had almost fused with the profound yin qi. It was faintly discernible, crooked and extremely terrifying. "Lass, you can't go against him anymore." Suddenly, a familiar voice rang in her mind. Yiqing Luo had yet to call out Old Man Song's name. She heard Old Man Song's solemn tone, as though he had made a decision. "This place is a seal formed by the divine phoenix's energy, used to seal the extremely dangerous and evil energy of revered Wuyu. You are the inheritor of the divine phoenix's inheritance. The seal here has no effect on you." But revered Wuyu is obviously aware of this point. Everything he is doing now, although it looks like he intends to stop you and dig out your profound heart jade. But in reality, he intends to pour his own profound yin qi, this kind of evil energy, into your body. Listening to Old Man Song's words, Yiqing Luo's expression congealed once again. Her slender brows knitted slightly as she pondered over Old Man Song's words. She knew that she had been schemed against by Huang Wuyo. She originally thought that she had been schemed against by Huang Wuyo to control her. She didn't expect, all of this was just the surface of Huang Wuyo's scheme. And the real hidden motive was so vicious. No wonder, when the clone and the profound yin qi fused. The profound yin qi kept surging into her body. She thought it was to dig out the profound heart jade. Unexpectedly, Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes narrowed dangerously, reflecting a sharp cold glint. This Huang Wuyo wanted her to be contaminated by the mysterious yin qi and be corroded by the seal. What a good idea. You're not the only one fighting here. Revered Sir Wireless has stayed in this sealed land for tens of thousands of years. Even with the power of the divine phoenix suppressing him, he's still revered Sir Wireless after all. He's an existence that's comparable to the Emperor of the Divine Emperor. The fact that he could create a clone, establish the Palace of Tenebrous Darkness, and control all the realms while being sealed was enough to prove that he was getting stronger and stronger. The longer these people stayed in this sealed area, the more they would be eroded by the mysterious yin qi here. At that time, this seal will treat it as an evil force, and purify it. Old Man Song spoke very quickly, but each and every word was clearly transmitted into Yiqing Luo's ears. You can drag it out, but they can't. Old Man Song was very clear that although Yiqing Luo wasn't a saint, but she wouldn't go so far as to watch innocent lives disappear in front of her eyes and remain indifferent. Especially when these people could be considered as having a little bit of relationship with her. It was even more impossible for her to watch them die. Yiqing Luo's heart thumped slightly when she heard Old Man Song's words. When she opened her mouth, her voice sounded extremely hoarse. "Then, your meaning is..." Chapter 52-54. Old Man Song was silent for a moment. Yiqing Luo could feel the surging scorching sensation on her wrist. She pursed her lips tightly as her heart sank. "Old Man Song, you know my temper. You know that I will not allow you to make decisions on your own." She understood Old Man Song. Just like how Old Man Song understood her. From Old Man Song's silence, Yiqing Luo had already heard something that she didn't dare to think about. "Luo lass." Old Man Song's deep voice floated in Yiqing Luo's mind. That low and deep voice had a hint of gratification in it. This old man knows that the current you is already a divine phoenix emperor who can take charge of a region by yourself. Even without me by your side, I believe that you can become a better and more admirable divine phoenix than your mother. Old man sung. Yiqing Luo's pupils constricted and her exquisite face turned pale. Don't mess around. Ever since I came to this strange world, you've always been by my side. We've already experienced so much and come this far. If you're not with me, what's the point of me being a divine phoenix? Silly girl, don't say that. Old man Sung laughed lowly as his tone was filled with the pampering of an elder. Do you know why I became the Azure Dew Bracelet's guardian spirit? Yiqing Luo didn't answer. Old man Sung continued, because guardian spirit means to protect. Divine Phoenix Emperor Feng Gu passed the Azure Dew Bracelet to you in order for me to protect you, inherit the position of Divine Phoenix and complete her last wish. The meaning of my existence is to protect you. I have no regrets to be able to protect you until now. Every single word and sentence was like a confession to Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo's heart felt like it was tightly gripped by an icy cold palm. Her heart was in pain and there was a kind of extreme coldness that attacked her entire body. No. I don't want it. Yiqing Luo's petite body started to tremble slightly. Under the dense profound yin qi, that young lady dressed in a peach blossom long dress slowly moved her hand which was unable to move, pressing on her own arm. She didn't care at all as the profound yin qi had already wrapped around her. Their attention was focused on the Azure Dew Bracelet. Her slender, jade-like fingers lightly touched the glittering cherry blossom petals of the Azure Dew Bracelet. Old man Sung, I won't allow you to make a decision on your own. You'd better get rid of your current thoughts. It's too late, lass. Little by little, old man Sung's spirit body swayed out of the Azure Dew Bracelet. That illusory spiritual body was extremely eye-catching under the dense black yin qi. You must use your oppressive power to mend the divine phoenix seal as soon as possible, or kill revered Carefree. As old man Sung's words fell into Yiqing Luo's ears. Little by little, old man Sung's illusory spirit body transformed into a bewitching flowing light that was like a blazing flame as it encircled Yiqing Luo's wrist. Actually, I'm not leaving. I'm just using a different method to protect you. The last 3 words. Faintly discernible. Yiqing Luo almost thought that she was hallucinating. Her pupils continued to dilate and contract. He couldn't help but blurt out, Old man Sung. It was no longer an exchange of thoughts. But he had actually shouted out his name. But no one responded to her. That white, green smoke-like spiritual body instantly disappeared in front of Yiqing Luo's eyes. At the same time. Chapter 52-55. Yiqing Luo felt her wrist burning as though it was on fire. The next moment, boundless profound energy gushed into her limbs and bones. Boom, there was a sudden buzzing sound in her mind. What is this? The people from the Illusion clan were blocking Gu Jingyu's killer move towards Zhu Wu Xian. All of a sudden, the group of them was thrown to the ground by a vast force. Such a terrifying energy appeared. Both parties immediately stopped fighting. One by one, they looked towards the direction where the energy came from. They saw that not far ahead. The thick black profound yin qi was intertwining with the sky full of raging flames. No. That raging flame was different from the raging flame's seal which they saw when they first entered the sealed grounds. That was a kind of extreme red. Like a phoenix spreading its wings to soar into the sky. With an overwhelming momentum, it broke through the profound yin qi. Zhu Wu Xian leaned against the wall as his cold eyes stared fixedly at that figure which was wrapped in raging flames. His thin, crimson lips were slightly pursed. Finally, it turned into a soft sigh. The energy has completely awakened. Fate is ultimately unable to be changed. But now, no one heard Zhu Wu Xian's soft sigh. Wu, a painful moan was heard from not too far away. Huang Wuyo, whose 4 limbs were bound by the raging flames, bounced backwards heavily and was caught back by the raging flames. Huang Guio's face was ghastly pale as blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. The surging profound yin qi in the surroundings had obviously weakened by quite a bit. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he stared at Yi Qing Luo's direction. His eyes were filled with anger. Feng Ge, that rascal. He actually left such a sharp weapon for Feng Qing Luo. Even in death, he was still scheming against him. Huang Guio could feel that the energy on his body was dissipating continuously. The profound yin qi which encircled his body, forming a protective shield, was also dispersing bit by bit under the purification of the raging flames. His face was livid and dark, extremely ugly. He knew that Yi Qing Luo had quite a number of protective talismans on her. And he was very clear that Yi Qing Luo had a trump card on her. And it was because of that trump card which made him stumble over Yi Qing Luo time and time again. What he didn't expect was that trump card was actually the azure dew bracelet on Yi Qing Luo's wrist, which was refined from Feng Ji's soul. Yes. This was a soul-forged azure dew bracelet. This was an azure dew bracelet that was forged by consuming one's own cultivation and using one's soul as the core. It didn't just contain Feng Ji's power. There was even a hidden power that made people tremble in fear at the mention of it. He had also heard about Feng Ge forging the azure dew bracelets and the azure dew divine artifact. Back then, when he was with Feng Ge, he had thought of looking for an opportunity to find the azure dew bracelet and the azure dew 5-piece set. He had seen the azure water 5-piece set many times. But he had never seen the azure dew bracelet before. He had not expected that Feng Ge would pass the azure dew bracelet into Yi Qing Luo's hands. No wonder he couldn't find any traces of Yi Qing Luo back then. So when Feng Ge sent Yi Qing Luo into the 21st century realm, he used the azure dew bracelet to obstruct his search. Or perhaps, the existence of the azure dew bracelet was precisely because of Yi Qing Luo. When the power of the azure dew bracelet and its master combined into one, that was when its power was at its strongest. Just like Yi Qing Luo right now. Of course, no matter how Huang Guio thought about it, he wouldn't be able to understand the activation of the azure dew bracelet's power. It was because of Old Man Song's self-sacrifice. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler and collect it. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler and hit me. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.